Welcome to the hardest game in the world. Unfortunately, you're playing with some of the sharpest, fastest, most intelligent, well-informed, stubbornly, irrational, and in many cases, unethical minds in the world. You're up against a computer that can react faster than you, the trader who has more experience than you, the fund that has more money than you, the insider that has more information than you, the others that will misinform you, and the inner voice that will do its best to undo you. So leave all of your dreams of making quick and easy money behind. The first aim is survival. Your absolute first goal is to learn how to stay in the game. And you can only do this by mapping the territory, by understanding how the enemy thinks and acts, by having a solid game plan, and by picking your battles very, very carefully. Ready to play? Ngayon, lahat ng yan ay di galing sa akin. Those are the words of an infamous trader called Tom Dante, who some of you narinig na ito. And it's very apt way para magsimula ng risk management module. Dahil siguro ay narinig mo na may isang kilalang statistic na palaging binabanggit, na hindi ako sigurado kung gaano ka-accurate ito, but as it goes. Sinasabi nito na higit 90% ng mga retail traders ang nawawalan ng 90% ng kanilang capital sa unang 90 days ng pag-o-open nila ng account. Ngayon, ang number one reason kung bakit ito nangyayari ay dahil sa kawalan ng risk management na sinasamahan ng pag-aabuso ng leverage. So I'm going to teach you sound, professional risk management principles that have stood the test of time, and sisiguraduhin natin na hindi ka magiging bahagi ng 90-90-90 rule kagaya ng karamihan. Bilang isang financial trader, ang inyong unang trabaho at i-priority ay talagang isa sa isang professional risk manager. Ito yung concept na marami ang nagkakamali sa speculative trading. Ang protection ng capital ay inuuna kesa sa pag-o-optimize ng profit. Ang isang bulletproof risk management regime ay pinakamalahaga sa anumang successful trading strategy. Kahit na ang pinakamagandang trading strategy sa mundo ay maaaring maglagay ng iyong account sa peligro kung hindi ito sinasama sa striktong money management principles. Kaya kapag ang mga bagong traders ay pumasok sa trade, ang kanilang pangunahing iniisip ay gaano karaming pera ang maaari kong kitain mula sa pagtre-trade na ito. Ngunit ang mga potential na profits ay mapang-akit. Ang unang tanong ng isang professional trader ay palaging, gaano karaming pera ang maaari kong mawala sa pagtra-trade na ito? Kaya ang inyong tatlong layunin bilang isang trader ay upang makatipid ng kapital, makabuo ng kita mula sa kapital na iyon, at pagkatapos, dagdagan ang laki ng inyong account size. Ang pagprotekta sa inyong kapital ay dapat ang inyong unang priority, dahil kung meron ka pang kapital, edi makakasurvive ka para makapag-trade pa sa susunod na araw. Ang kapital ay magpapanatili sa inyo sa laro ng trading. Ngayon, marami akong nakilalang trader na magaling sa pagte-technical analysis, pero sila ay nawawalan ng pera due to their lack of respect para sa risk management. Ang market ay palaging humble sa'yo. Sa mga conditions ng market, hindi sila palaging magiging 100% sa lahat ng oras para sa mga individual strategies. At may mga pagkakataon na ang pabago-bagong paggalaw ng price ay maaaring magresulta ng isang series ng mga natatalo na trades. Kaya kung ang iyong focus ay protektahan ang pera sa inyong account during those choppy market condition, then you're going to remain afloat to rebound from these losses and then make new account highs once the market conditions become more conducive to your strategy again. At ang module na ito ay nakatuon sa pag-highlight ng iba't ibang mga risks na malamang nakahaharapin mo bilang isang trader. At sa pamamagitan ng pag-i-implement ng risk management principles, madadaragdagan mo ang probability na protektahan ang inyong kapital at sa makatuwid ay hindi lamang maging isang successful trader, but actually maintaining that success over the long term. So what is the golden rule in trading? Well, a major key is to never risk more than 1% of your trading account per trade. Never risk more than 1% of your trading account balance per trade. Bakit? Well, sa pamamagitan ng paglalagay ng risk sa bawat trade sa 1% ng inyong account, pinapataas mo ang probability ng survival mo during those unfavorable market conditions. And in the unlikely even that you manage to lose 10 trades in a row at a capped 1% risk per trade, meron ka pa ring higit sa 90% ng iyong unang balance na natitira upang makapag-trade pa sa susunod. Ang mga drawdown na katulad nito ay maaaring ibalik sa pamamagitan lamang ng isang trade, at ang mga bagong mataas na account maaaring ma-achieved ulit. Ngayon, gusto kong isipin nyo ang isang submarine. And now imagine that the internal rooms of that submarine have been completely hollowed out. So ngayon, ito ay isang malaking lumulutang na bakal na lang. Kung ang submarine na yon ay inatake noon ng missile mula sa isang barko ng kaaway, ano sa palagay nyo ang mangyayari? Isang sabog lang ay mapupuno ng tubig at lulubog kaagad. Okay, now take that same submarine as an example, pero this time, build some strong dividers so that it now contains 100 watertight compartments at lahat ay nakapantay na sukat. Kung ang submarine ay inatake ulit ng kalaban, ngayon, ano sa tingin nyo ang mangyayari? This time, yung isang compartments ay mapupuno at iiwan niya ang ibang 99 na naka-intact para lumutang ang submarine. So the submarine could take hit after hit bago lumubog and giving them enough time to escape enemy fire and return to safety and survive in another day. Okay, so on this situation, isipin nyo ang account nyo ay katulad ng submarine. Sa pamamagitan ng paglalagay ng risk na 1% sa bawat trade, hinahati mo yung account mo sa 100 na equal positions at tumatanggap ng maximum na loss of just one compartment every time na pumapasok ka ng trade. And this kind of survival technique is critical in keeping your account alive long enough to then enjoy the calm blue waters of being a profitable trending conditions. Well, some amateurs think that they're being sensible by only risking 10% per trade. Ngunit, you can clearly see that it's only going to take a few hits to their account, and suddenly, they're going to be underwater very, very quickly. Yung iba naman nag-iingat at nag-iisip na 5% na risk per trade okay lang. Pero tignan nyo yung protection na 1% risk per trade na ginagawa sa account nyo. Talagang makikita mo na this is how you will remain in the game for the long period of time. At hindi lang 1% risk model ang actually na magpapapreserve ng capital nyo, but during a series of losses, the monetary risk on each trade that actually becomes progressively smaller and smaller, and it forms what's called a reverse compounding effect. Sa nakaraang lesson, nakita nyo how consistent profits can become progressively larger as a result of compounding, di ba? Pero sa kabaligtaran ay totoo rin sa mga panahon ng losing trades ay liliit ng lilit at liliit talaga. Sa pag-take ng risk ng itinakdang porsyento bawat trade, siguradong ma-maximize ang iyong account sa compounding habang nakukontrol din ang negative na compounding effect sa mga panahon ng drawdown. So during period of account drawdown, that 1% risk model, it forces your risk to progressively get smaller and smaller. Napaka-logical, tama? And yet most of the traders ay ginagawa pa rin yung opposite. Systems na kagaya ng martingale actually ine-encourage yung mga traders na doblehin yung risk pagkatapos ng consecutive of losses. So kung nag-risk sila ng 1% sa unang trade at natalo, sa susunod na trade magtataas pa sila ng 1% risk, so bale magiging 2% na ang nakarisk. Dahil gusto nila mabawi yung natalo, natalo ulit. Ngayon they are down to 3% overall. So, imbis na matuto sa pagkakamali nila, they will think na they're smart, and they will decide to double down their risk again sa pangatlong trade. At ngayon magri-risk sila ng 4%, pero natalo sila ng 3 beses ng sunod-sunod. Yung pagkakatalo ng 3 beses na sunod-sunod normal lang. Basta sinusunod mo ng tama yung risk management mo. Pero ngayon, na-down sila ng -7%, pero sila they continue the gambling system, doubling their risk to 8%, losing and losing again, and putting them in a huge hole of -15% to climb out. So nag-roll ng dice ulit one last time, and they double their risk at 16%, and they finally get the massive winner that they were after. Pero tignan nyo, their total panel is now only 1% profit, so they assumed all of that massive risk well on the way to nearly blowing up their account, just to make 1% profit. That is obviously not smart trading because their risk is far outweighs the reward every time. Now, gamblers love systems like the martingale because it allows them to buy into the false belief that they will get away with never fully realizing is a loss, potentially in a hypothetical environment of infinite capital and infinite market liquidity. na ang theory may hold water, but in reality, it is just a pure fantasy and a sure way na mablow yung entire account. In the early stages of your trading journey, the golden rule will your main way of avoiding risk, dahil ina-eliminate mo yung risk which is you. You have the control of your emotions. When you are yet to reach consistency, there is going to be a learning gap. And I am here to fill that gap in the most efficient way possible by teaching you exactly how we trade, paano mo ia-apply yung strategies natin, at paano natin ima-manage yung positions, at paano natin ima-manage yung risk. So your learning curve is rapidly shrunk, but you will still have to work extremely hard at it to reach that consistency. At yung golden rule na yon ang magpro-protekta sa'yo in the meantime. So drawdown is essentially the reduction of your capital after a series of losing trades. And this is calculated by the difference between a relative peak in capital minus a relative trough. Ngayon, although account drawdown is a very normal occurrence of trading, all measures should be taken to keep it as small as possible. At ang the best way para magawa ito is by keeping the risk per trade to 1% or less of your account. At ang rason nito bakit napaka-importante nito, and what a lot of people do not realize, is that recovering a loss is mathematically harder than making the loss in the first place. So kung ikaw ay nagsimula sa $10,000 account and you take a full loss of 1%, edi matatalo ka lang ng $100. At yung account mo ay bababa ng $9,900, ito ay also referred as being in a 1% drawdown. At etong bagong account na may balance na $9,900, if you make a profit of 1%, ikaw ay kikita lamang ng $99. So eto lang ang makakapagpabalik sa'yo sa 9,999 Even though na natalo ka ng 1%, at least nabalik mo yung 1% na natalo mo. Ngayon, itong maliit na pinagkaiba pwedeng makita na baliwala sa una. Pero as the drawdown percentage ay tumaas, mahirap nang i-recover yung losses. 10 to 20% drawdown madali lang ma-recover. Pero yung beyond sa level na ito, ayan mahirap na ma-recover. Ito ang table na nagpapakita ng drawdown versus sa profit na recovery rate required para mabalik sa break-even simula sa unang nag-drawdown. So kung nakaka-experience ka ng drawdown ng 5 or 10%, huwag ka nang mag-trade. Joke. Edi kailangan mo lang is 5 or 10% na panalong trade para mabawi. Pero once na nagsimula ka matalo ng 20% ng account mo, then you are really starting to tread in the deep water. The more you lose, the harder it is to recover. And this is the primary reason that we cap our losses at 1%. Dahil kung nasa situation ka na natalo ka ng 50% of your account, shoota bigti ka na lang, joke. Well then, kailangan mong i-double yung pera mo para mabalik sa pinagmulan mong capital, o ma-break even. When you risk too much and lose, your chances to recover your capital fully are very, very slim. And it's not only because you are merely left with much less money in your account, but you also have to deal with the negative psychological impacts of those drawdowns. Stress, depression. Diyos ko, diba inipon mo sa pagtratrabaho mo ng 1 whole year just to invest in financial market tapos mag-drawdown ka lang ng 50% dahil wala kang risk management, diba? To avoid the stress and the lots of drawdowns, maglagay ka ng life sticks mo per day. 3 sticks lang. Ibig sabihin sa isang araw, kapag natalo ka ng 3 beses, stop na, bukas na ulit. Lesson learned, stop and take a deep breath. Hinga ka ng malalim. Lumabas ka ng bahay, magpahangin ka. I really can't emphasize enough just how important risk management is for your long-term success in trading. Kailangan nyo seryosohin and be extremely disciplined. Tandaan pera ang nakasalalay dyan. You really need to be careful. You have to be a professional. And here is a table that shows what effect a losing streak can have on your account. Depende sa level ng risk na mapipili nyo. So kapag magsisimula ka sa trading, it is pretty much an absolute certainty that you will experience some extended losing streaks until you gain some more experience within the markets over time. Remember, walang nagsimulang magaling. Lahat nagsisimula sa wala. Okay, so etong table pinapakita niya how important the difference na risking only 1% per trade will make. Because it is extremely likely at some point in time, you will lose 5 or 6 trades in a row, which is completely normal by the way. At kung ikaw ay nagre-risk lang ng 1% per trade, it is extremely manageable to get back out of that drawdown in just a few trades and make back that 5 or 6%. Pero kung ikaw ay nag-risk it ng 5%, you have now lost around a quarter of your account. At kung nangyari yon, kailangan mo na ngayon ng huge return of almost 40% para lang mabawi papuntang break-even. Kabaliwan yan. Huwag kayong mag-trade ng ganyan. You can clearly see how absurd it is to risk that much capital on a trade. At yung risk mo na yon ay extremely high. Tandaan, hindi mo na mababalik yung nakaraan. Pero kaya mong baguhin yung future mo. And even if you are a more experienced trader who is relatively consistent, it is still almost a certainty at some point in time that you will experience a string of losses for whatever reason. As I said before, the market will never fail to surprise and humble you. Dahil itong table na to ang nagpapakita sa inyo ng probability of you losing a numbers of consecutive trades within a 1,000 trade sequence, depende sa strike rate mo. So kung yung strike rate mo is just another way of saying your win rate. So let's say you are actually a pretty good trader at meron kang strike rate around 60%. This table shows that it is almost a guaranteed certainty that you will experience at least 6, if not 7, losing trades in a row. It is certainty, like it is guaranteed. There is no way around it. It's just a mathematical uncertainty. Ngayon, hitting 8 losing trades in a row has a 50% probability. So parehong chance kagaya ng pagtoss ng coins kung magiging head ba siya or tail. If you lost 7 trades in a row, let's say 5% risk, you've got to make nearly 50% just to get back to break even. Anything lower than 60% strike rate, and you can see just how likely it is that you will experience a large string of losses. And that's only just in a 1,000 trade sequence. Kung nag-trade ka in long term, over the course of your career, you will no doubt take thousands of trades. At lahat ng probabilities na yung nasa table will shift along to the right. And even if your strike rate is very, very good and pushing near a 70%, you will still able be at risk of stringing together 6 to 7 losers in a row at some point. Nangyayari din yun kahit sa magagaling na trader. Kahit ano pwedeng mangyari sa market. So make sure you respect that and keep your risk management principles in place so you can survive those bumps in the road. So kailangan mo lang ng kaunting panalo to get back in the game and making a new account highs. Once again, lahat ng trades mo should end in one of 4 ways. A small win, a big win, a small loss, or a break-even. You should never, ever experience a big loss. If you can get rid of big losses, meron kang malaking chance para maging profitable trader para sa maraming susunod na taon. Small, regular profits are key. Tandaan, your focus the whole time should be on you becoming the asset yourself. Nasa kamay mo ang kapalaran mo. You may not have access to a lot of capital right now. Okay lang yan. Maging isang magaling na trader ka. I-build mo yung solid na pundasyon ngayon na meron maliit na risk management principles. At kung kaya mo yung maliit na account, then you'll be able to do it on a large account. You have to prove that you are worthy to handle and manage that larger capital. Kasi kung hindi mo kayang i-handle yung maliit na account paano mo i-handle yung malaking account? It's always the best to start on the low capital. Huwag ka magumpisa sa malaki. Iwasan mo ang panonood ng live trading na nagpapakita ng malalaking lot size. Mag-focus ka sa sarili mo, wag sa ibang tao. Again, having what you may consider small account, it is no excuse whatsoever to risk more than 1%. Because if you can build a track record with small consistent profits, with minimal drawdown, then you will have no problem finding big investors. You will have no problem getting funding. Dahil tandaan, investors care more about drawdown potential loss than the upside. Potential return. So kung ma-master mo itong course na to, then you are in the right place dahil after this whole course. Me and my investors will gather some students to be funded. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every month kukuha kami ng 3 student and we will fund them $1,000 per student and we will give you a great deal, which is 30-70. Once na mabalik yung 100% na fund, we will make it 70-30, which is 70% sa student trader and 30% naman sa investors. So ayun lang, I hope na may natutunan kayo for today's video. Wish you a good luck and have a good trade.